Good day. The state television company of Western Armenia represents the most important news for today. The subject of the day with Grigor Amirzayan. The decree on dissolution of the Republic of Artsakh was cancelled. A gas explosion occurred in Artsakh, warehouse, as a result of which 218 people died. 3 of them have not been identified yet. Armenian-French bilateral military consultation took place in Paris. The former co-chairman of the People's Democratic Party reminded about the genocide against Armenians during his defense speech. The level of Lake Vana continues to decrease rapidly. The Armenian film American passed the second stage of the Oscar shortlist. Grigor Amirzayan, deputy of the third convocation of the National Assembly of Western Armenia, wrote in his microblog that Aliyev is now in Stepanakert. The leader of Baku made a speech before start of the match between the Artsakh team and Moik in the final of Azerbaijan football team. Grigor Amirzayan also published a video in his microblog where he analyzed Aliyev's speech. The video is available on the YouTube page of Western Armenian TV. The decree on dissolution of Artsakh is no longer exist. Vladimir Grigoryan, advisor to the Artsakh president, insisted in a conversation with Azartutun, emphasizing that the basis for this is the president's decree of October 19, according to which from October 1 the president of Artsakh, the minister of state, members of the government, judges, the human rights defender, the parliament, the Secretary of Security Council, law enforcement agencies, the mayor of Stepanakert, and the heads of administrative districts continue to hold office on a public basis, which means without remuneration. Shahramanian's decree also states that documents issued on behalf of the Republic of Artsakh after October 1, 2023 are valid. Already with that decree, we can consider that Mr. Shahramanian cancelled the decree he signed on September 28. In other words, the Republic of Artsakh, the government and all other bodies will continue their activities after 2024, he said. And the decision to dissolve Artsakh was illegal, and after that, the decree of October 19 and a number of legal normative acts were adopted, which implies that Artsakh will exist after 2024. The investigative community of Eastern Armenia has summarized the results of the incident of the explosion that took place in Artsakh on September 25 in the area adjacent on the Stepanakert-Askeran highway. According to the report of the investigative committee, as a result of the conducting investigative and other operational actions, that as a result of the explosion in the mentioned warehouse, 218 people were killed. 2 of them were officers of the Artsakh police forces serving in the warehouse. 41 were servicemen, including 9 officers, 5 non-commissioned officers. The others were members of the ranks. As a result of the explosion and the subsequent fire, at least 120 people received various degrees of physical injuries, mainly in the form of burns. According to the data of this moment of the investigation, the location of 21 persons is unknown. The identity of 148 of the deceased persons were determined through the prescribed forensic genetic examinations and 77 through other investigative and administrative operations. The identity of 3 of the 218 people who died as a result of the explosion has not yet been determined by examination, because the relatives of the mentioned persons have not yet applied and have not submitted a sample for forensic genetic examination to perform the necessary identification. Those who have relatives who were found at the time of the explosion and went missing after that and have not yet applied to the body implementing the proceedings, the investigative committee of Eastern Armenia urged them to apply to the Central Military Investigative Department of the Central Military Commission of Eastern Armenia in order to find out the identity of the above-mentioned 3 bodies who died in the explosion. Armenian-French bilateral military political consultations were held in Paris on December 21, reports the Ministry of Defense. The Armenia's delegation was headed by Levon Ayvazyan, head of the Defense Policy International Cooperation Department of the Ministry of Defense of the Republic of Armenia. On the French side, the consultations were conducted by the director of the Directorate of International Relations and Strategy of the French Ministry of Armed Forces, Alice Ruffo. During the consultation, problems related to international and regional security were thoroughly discussed, as well as cooperation agenda issues, and a number of agreements were reached. Within the framework of the case initiated in connection with the events of Kobani, he also referred to the topic of genocide against Armenians. Vigen Yuksekdagh specially noted, "Be it Kurds or Turks, all of us as people living in this border still carry the burden of that painful massacre on our shoulders." The co-chairman also added, "Armenians were massacred. The undead people were also exiled. They did all that in order to solve the issue of differences that they could not control. The massacre of Armenians left us with a very heavy burden that we still carry on our shoulders," said Vigen Yuksekdagh in his speech. The massacre of Armenians were committed in the period of the Union of Progress Party. Germany also has a very large share in the issue of the Armenian massacre. The German state carries responsibility too. The German state that developed the plan for the massacre of Armenians presented the project of deportation of the young Turks, inspired them with the idea that the Armenian issue can be solved only through exile and massacre. Turkey cannot even think independently. A German general stood at the head of the Turkish army. However, those engaged in nationalistic heroism and don't talk about it, if they don't say it, will history forget it? Armenians were massacred and exiled from their common and native lands where they lived together before that. Let's remind that Vigen Yuksekdagh has been accused in 2014 based on the incidents of Kobani. It is noteworthy that although the former vice president does not even use the word genocide, the Turkish press is already expressing great indignation regarding his speech. Professor Faruk Aladenoglu, a lecturer at the Department of Geography of the Faculty of Literature of University of Van, spoke about the gradually decreasing water level of Lake Vana. He noted that the amount of rainwater that reached the lake in the spring months, he said that the northern hemisphere gets very hot in summer months, and also to add that such amount of rainwater does not play a serious role in raising the water level or maintaining it, despite expectations that water levels lost in the summer may be restored during fall and winter precipitation. The lake level continues to decline rapidly at this time. It should be noted that in 2019 up to 2023, Lake Vana, which contains the most soda in the world, has been greatly affected by the climatic changes that have occurred, which has been caused by the decreases in the water level. The shortlist of 88 international films for 10 categories of the 96th Academy Awards have been announced. 15 films went to the next round of voting in the international feature film category, where the list of features film includes the film American, directed by Michael Gurigian, which received the state financial support from the National Film Center of Eastern Armenia. We warmly congratulate the entire creative team and wish success and victory. Nominations for the Oscar Award ceremony will be announced in 2024 in January 23, and the Oscar ceremony will take place in 2024 on March 10 at the Dolby Theatre Innovation Hollywood and will be broadcasted live on ABC. This was all for today, and now you can listen to a musical performance. Goodbye.